Imagine standing in the sweltering heat of East Africa in the early 1900s. The air is thick with tension. The land, once free, is now controlled by an iron-fisted colonial regime. Whispers spread through the villages of rebellion, of resistance, of a powerful magic water that could turn bullets into raindrops. Would you believe it? Would you fight? What happened next was beyond what anyone could have imagined. This is the untold story of the Maji Maji Rebellion. You may have heard about the Maji Maji Rebellion, but I guarantee you, there are things about this uprising that will leave you stunned. Here are 10 things you didn't know about the Maji Maji Rebellion. Number 1. It wasn't just a war, it was a movement. This wasn't your typical rebels versus colonialists battle. The Maji Maji Rebellion was a full-scale, coordinated resistance that united 22 ethnic groups, bringing together an estimated 300,000 warriors and supporters, people who had never fought side by side before. The Ngoni, Matumbi, Pogoro, Zaramo, Yao, Luguru, Bena, and Hehe were among the key groups that joined forces. These communities, many of whom had long-standing rivalries, came together under a shared cause: to free themselves from German oppression. The rebellion took place primarily in southern Tanzania, spreading across regions such as Lindi, Ruvuma, Pwani, and Morogoro. It's fascinating how people set aside differences for a greater cause. Have you ever seen something similar in history, or even in your own life? Let's discuss. Number 2. The Maji in Maji Maji was more than just water. At the heart of this movement was a spiritual leader named Kinjeketile Nwale. He convinced warriors that a sacred magic water, or Maji, could turn German bullets into harmless raindrops. Yes, you heard that right. They believed they had divine protection, making them fearless in battle. But did it really work? That's the mystery. Imagine the warriors, standing firm, believing in their divine protection as they marched into battle. For a moment, some say the bullets seemed to miss their mark, but then, reality hit hard. The Germans didn't hold back, and what happened next changed the course of history forever. Imagine being in their shoes. Would you have believed in the Maji? Let me know in the comments. Number 3. A tax sparked the revolution. Imagine being forced to grow cotton, not for yourself, but for some distant empire you've never seen. The Germans imposed a brutal tax that demanded villagers farm cash crops instead of food. No money? No problem. Just work for free on German plantations. This injustice was the final straw that triggered the uprising. History has a way of repeating itself. Learning from the past can shape our future. What lessons do you think we can take from this rebellion? Number 4. It was one of Africa's first guerrilla wars. They turned forests into battlefields, rivers into strategic hideouts, and villages into strongholds. They struck fast and disappeared just as quickly, forcing the Germans into a war they weren't prepared for. Their ability to blend into the terrain and launch unexpected assaults made them a nightmare for the colonial forces, proving that superior weapons weren't always the key to victory. Strategy, bravery, and unity were just as powerful. This part is so cinematic. It could be a movie, right? If you agree, drop a comment below. Number 5. The Germans responded with brutality beyond imagination. When the Germans realized brute force wasn't enough, they took a page straight out of a horror novel. They burned down entire villages, destroyed food supplies, and starved the people into submission. This wasn't just war, it was extermination. An estimated 250,000 to 300,000 people died, most from starvation rather than battle. It remains one of the deadliest colonial suppressions in African history. This is a part of history that many don't talk about. It's a chilling reminder of how far colonial powers were willing to go to maintain control. Number 6. A leader who died before the war even began. Kinjeketile Nwale, the spiritual leader who sparked the rebellion, never saw his people go to war. The Germans captured him in August 1905, only weeks before the first major attacks were launched. Betrayed by someone within his ranks, he was arrested and accused of inciting rebellion. After brutal interrogation, he was publicly executed by hanging, an attempt by the Germans to instill fear and crush the uprising before it could gain momentum. But rather than killing the movement, his death turned him into a martyr. The Maji Maji warriors carried his vision, making him a legend that inspired generations. Would you consider him a hero? Let's start a conversation in the comments. Number 7. The rebellion shook the entire colonial system. Germany won the war, but at what cost? The rebellion exposed just how unstable their grip on East Africa really was. It forced colonial powers to rethink their brutality, planting the seeds of future independence movements. This was one of the first major signs that colonial rule wouldn't last forever. History isn't just about dates and events. It's about stories of resilience. If this one moved you, there's a lot more to explore. Number 8, it's still celebrated today. Today, the Maji Maji Rebellion is remembered as a symbol of African resistance. In Tanzania, it's part of national history, taught in schools, and honored with monuments. Because let's be honest, this was no ordinary rebellion. It was a movement of legends. Would you ever visit one of these historical sites? Let me know in the comments. Number 9, what if the Maji really worked? Some reports from the time suggest that in the early battles, German soldiers were momentarily caught off guard as warriors charged at them fearlessly, convinced of their divine protection. This hesitation may have led to initial victories in some areas, but when the bullets kept cutting through, reality struck hard. The Germans, seeing this unwavering belief, used it against the warriors, leading them into deadly traps. The Maji, instead of being their salvation, became the illusion that doomed them in the face of superior firepower. Yet despite the failure of the Maji, the rebellion left an undeniable impact. It ignited a spirit of resistance that would fuel future independence movements across Africa. Even though they didn't win the war, they proved that colonial rule wasn't unshakable. It could be challenged, and one day, it would be dismantled. Now here's a wild thought. What if the Magi really worked? What if bullets did turn into water? Would the rebellion have succeeded? Would Africa have broken free from colonial rule decades earlier? It's one of history's greatest what-ifs, and we'll never know the answer. 10. The story isn't over yet, and that's why history is so powerful. It's not just about the past, it's about the lessons we carry into the future. The Maji Maji warriors fought against oppression, and their story still inspires millions today. But what do you think? Was the Maji Maji Rebellion the start of Africa's long road to independence? You've journeyed through history with me. Now, what's your biggest takeaway from the Maji Maji Rebellion? Let's keep this conversation going. If you enjoyed this and want to see more untold stories like this, consider subscribing. It's what keeps me going and motivates me to bring you more incredible content like this. Your support makes all the difference. And of course, don't forget to like and drop a comment. I love hearing your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.